Welcome to this video where we discuss about pivot charts. So continuing from where we left off, we have a pivot table created that has both the loan status as well as the home ownership showing up here and the corresponding count of customers. So we're going to use this to create a pivot table. So once a pivot table has been created, creating a chart is mostly a one-click activity actually. So there are a couple of different ways by which you can create it. You can click on the design tab, the pivot table analyze tab, and you can click on pivot chart, or you could click on the insert tab here and select pivot chart from here. In addition to that, there is also a possibility that you can click on these individual chart options as well. So that also works perfectly. But for now, we'll just use the insert tab, click pivot chart, and there you go. So it gives us the default chart here, the clustered column chart, and that looks perfectly fine to analyze this data that we want to work with. So I'll just double click on this. Perfect. And I get exactly what I want. So in this video, we'll not focus too much on the formatting aspects of the chart as such. We'll see more in terms of how a pivot table gives us the added benefits. Okay, so what are some of the things that we see on the pivot chart itself? So it replicates few of the features that we have in a pivot table. So that is, I have the option of filtering the data. So now the initial data was filtered, so I could revert it back. So I don't have to go and make any changes to the data as such. I can just filter it directly from the chart. So similarly, I have the option to filter the two fields that have been added, which is the loan status as well as the home ownership. Perfect. And then I've got an interesting option here to expand and collapse the chart view. So for now, I'm seeing the entire expanded view. I can collapse this as well, where I'll only see the data for loan status, right? And then I can expand it to show the rows. So that means if I have multiple rows put in, I can keep expanding it. But then that would make it a little more complicated, right? But yes, it is definitely possible for us to do it. So I could have one more level here, like the purpose column added into the rows. Then I could drill down to those many categories, basically. Okay, perfect. So these are some of the interesting options that we have when we work with pivot charts. But another very interesting area that we need to explore is working with dates, because with string as well as numbers, we have already seen what we can do. But how does charts work when we use dates? So that's what we're going to explore here. So as you can see in our data set, there is an issued date column that is available. So that's the only date column that is there within the entire data set. So we're going to use that for our chart. So let's come back here and make changes to this. So we're not going to create a new pivot. We're just going to update this. We're going to keep the values as it is. There's no change to that. Filters also will maintain it. And I'm going to remove the rows here. Let's remove all the rows. So as we remove it, you'll also see that the chart is also getting emptied. Instead of this, we're going to click and drag the issue date column into the rows. So the moment I click and drag this, you can see that it shows the months here, correct? So what if I want to show something else? What if I want to show the quarter or the year or the individual days? How would I have to go about it? So let's see what we can do here. And moreover, we don't even know whether it is just 1 year's data, right? So if it is saying Jan, it could be Jan across multiple years, right? But to keep things simple, this raw data is only for 1 year's data. This is just dummy data for 2019. So then it's fine. It shows only from Jan to December, which is for 1 year. But then let's say we want to tweak this. So you can right click on the area where you have the months showing up here in this particular example. You can click on group and you can add the parameters that you want. So let's say currently it's only showing months. You can add days as well. So just adding another one will add it to your pivots. So let's see how it's going to show up. So if I click on, so let me add even quarters here. Quarters, months, days, correct? In that order. So let me click OK here. Okay, so now you see a dramatic change in the data. So let's see how it shows up here. So look at that. So now we have the quarter as the parent, and then you have the next child as the months, followed by the individual days of the transaction. Okay, so if you're working with dates within pivots, this is one thing that you can definitely explore. So depending on how you want the data to show up, you could represent it in this manner. Then you could use all the formatting options that we have explained in the previous video as well to present the data in the way that you want. But for our example here, we will only keep to the months. So I'll revert it back to what it was before, group, and change it to only the months. So I'll just click once again on the other variables that I had selected. I'll just keep months clicked and click OK. Perfect. So now I only have the months. So let's see how the data presented in that format changes the chart. So chart looks okay, but the only thing is when you have a timeline chart, it's always best to have a line chart, right? So we don't need to create a new table. I mean, create a new pivot chart. So the only thing you need to do is just click the existing one and change the chart type. So you can change the chart type from here, or you could go in here to the insert tab and click on line chart from here. Multiple approaches by which you can achieve the same thing. So I could choose the one with markers, and there you go, right? And you could make changes in the formatting and the title, all as per your liking. Perfect. So this is how you can work with, dates. So previously, in the beginning of this video, we had explored numbers as well as text as to how that can be used. So dates is also a very interesting aspect that we can work with. So always keep in mind that the group option with dates can definitely give you a lot more flexibility when working with charts. Okay, so till I meet you in the next video, it's bye from me.